In your holy scriptures, this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is indeed a day to rejoice, O Father. For this is a time when we are acknowledging the culmination of a career of service of one for her country, while also demonstrating integrity in her personal character, and I am sure is pleasing in your sight. And so on this day, as we look back upon her career, we also look forward, and we do seek your blessing upon her life. For Christina, as she moves forward into this next phase, pray that you would light the path before her, and that you would bless her in such a way that she will be a blessing to other people. Above all, Lord, we give you thanks for so many things that you have granted unto each and every one of us, and for the very lives that we have been granted as a gift. Thank you for these things. So on this day, O Lord, our Father, we pray these things in the name of your Son and in the power of your Spirit. Amen.
Please take your seats. Thank you, Senior Airman Batondo and Airman First Class Calderon for the beautiful rendition of our national anthem, and Galen Peterson for those inspiring words. At this time, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the official party. The presiding officer, the commander of the United States Air Force Academy Band, Colonel Michael J. Willen. The most important person in the room today, our honoree, Lieutenant Colonel Cristina M. Moore Urrutia. We are also privileged to have with us today Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia's father, James Moore, and her mother, Steya Moore. Also in attendance, her brother Michael Moore, sister Alicia Sears, best friend Lorraine Lamb, her Uncle John and Aunt Sunny Moore, her Uncle Bob and Aunt Mary Kay Jenner, and cousin Beth Jenner. The commander, 60th Air Mobility Wing, Colonel Jay Johnson. Chief of Medical Staff, David Grant Medical Center, Col Cristina L. Franchetti. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to other friends and colleagues of Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia who have traveled great distances to be here today. We also welcome Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia's extended family, especially to those tuning in from Chile, South America. Ooh. Finally, we'd like to welcome our boss, the Director of Public Affairs for Air Mobility Command, Miss Lindsay Wilkinson, the Functional Manager for Air Mobility Command Public Affairs, Chief Renee Pittman, as well as the former Director of Air Mobility Command Public Affairs, U.S. Air Force retired Colonel Damian Pickard, and former members of the 43rd Army Band, all of whom are joining us online, as well as other friends and colleagues tuning in from around the globe. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Please welcome the presiding officer for today's ceremony, Colonel Michael Willen.
I was beginning to wonder if I was going to have to wing this, and then found out that the remarks are underneath the narrator's thing, so that's good. It's probably the most incredible honor that I've had in my career to preside over a fellow officer's retirement. This is actually my first officer's retirement. And I will warn you that both Christina and I have been, well, we haven't been diagnosed with ER, but we do have ER, that being emotional reflux. So at any moment, tears just like pour out, and there'll be a moment of pause to reassemble the cognitive abilities of our emotional being. I want to extend a special welcome to our DVs. Colonel Johnson, thank you so much for being here, and Colonel Franchetti as well. Also, Lindsay Wilkinson, who's online from Scott Air Force Base at the headquarters of AMCPA, along with Chief Master Sergeant Pittman. And probably the best boss I ever had in the Air Force, don't anybody tell anybody else that, but Colonel Damian Pickard. If you're out there, sir, it was certainly an honor and privilege to serve with you in AMC, and I'm glad to be here today because this is where I began my career. At Travis Air Force Base as a second lieutenant. The band building that I served in is no longer in existence. It's a nice patch of green grass right now. But the new one that they built after I left is still standing, and it looks great. It's good to be home again. And now I got to extend a special welcome to Christina's family. Oh, and wait, there's one more retired colonel here. And that is Gene Eisenhunt. I want to welcome you as well, because I know that you were probably Christina's first female role model that she had an ability to look up to. And she said that she was grateful to have you as a leader, a friend, a mentor, and she could receive godly and counsel and advice from you. So thank you for being here. So let's begin with Christina's family. I'm very glad to welcome both Jim and Stea Moore. Christina's mom, Stea, came from Chile, as you've heard, and they both met at Hastings College in Hastings, Nebraska. And I think that's where Kool-Aid was born, right? And the only reason I know that is when I was stationed at Offutt, we got asked to perform in the Kool-Aid parade. And I think we had to turn it down because it was one of those illegal things. But anyway. Stea is the quintessential immigrant story of the American dream. She came from poverty on a farm in Chile, and through hard work and grit, became incredibly successful in the U.S. She left at age 19 with only $1 in her hand. And she left her family behind and unsure where she would ever see them again. It came at a great personal sacrifice. But she has been successful. She loves gardening. She loves potted plants. She's got a green thumb that makes anything grow and flourish. And she is a retired certified public accountant of all things. So you came with $1 and you learned how to work with all that money and help people pay taxes. That's fantastic. Anyway, her dad, Jim, has been a music teacher and an insurance agent who received numerous accolades and awards. He was born and raised in western Nebraska in Christina's hometown of Kimball, and we'll talk a little bit about Kimball in a minute. He is an outstanding tenor, having sung as a member in the Houston Symphony Chorus, where he previously was a tenor section leader, as well as the Kingwood Chorale and the church choir at Second Baptist Church in Humble, all of which he sings in to this day. He has performed with great artists such as Andrea Bocelli. See. So we're grateful to have him and Stea here, and we're also grateful to have some of Christina's siblings, Brother Michael and Sister Alicia. Michael is a tenured professor of biomedical engineering at Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana, where he runs a research lab, teaches graduate and doctoral students, and is the chair of the department. He is married to Christina's dear sister-in-law, Lisa, and they have 3 beautiful girls, Anza, Evie, and Cece. I hope I pronounced those right. Evie and Cece, okay. That's my 1 and 2 mistakes. I only have 1 more to go. Alicia Sears is an assistant vice president, senior performance analyst, and client service specialist at Oxbow Advisors. That sounds really important to me. Now, if you don't like the information I got, this is where I got it from. She is, quote, a dragon slayer. That is mom to twin nearly 8-year-old girls, Addie and Harper, and she and Christina's wonderful brother-in-law, Justin, adopted those 2 precious children. So thank you for being here, and we're grateful you're with us. Let's see. Laureen Lamb. So she's one of Christina's best friends. Yes, and she told on you. She met Christina in church in the Boston area during her first Air Force assignment at Hanscom, and they grew to be sisters in the Lord and have been dear friends ever since. And that's all she put, so we'll end it there. And then Nicole Sell met Christina when they were both in their junior year at Scottsbluff High School in western Nebraska. And as fellow musicians and artists, Nicole is a professional modern dancer who teaches dance and fitness at various studios in the greater Boston area. And Amy is not here, right? That's right, okay. And finally, I am glad to be a part of this ceremony. Christina and I began our careers together, and I'll get to that in a moment. Now, because it's 32 years of service, I've got about 2.5 hours more of remarks. But I always like to begin with something funny, and because retirement ceremonies can be solemn, and I like to begin with a little laughter. Hopefully we've already had enough, but just a reminder, I'm not a comedian, and so any charitable laughter that you would like to share with us today, I would be grateful. So I get this story from podcaster and pastor Chuck Swindoll, who shared this from a chaplain of the Dallas Seminary. So the chaplain of the Dallas Seminary, Joe Allen, slipped there. He received this letter from one of his parishioners, and this lady writes, I know I shouldn't have done this, but I am 83 years old, and I was in the McDonald's drive-thru this morning, and the young lady behind me leaned on her horn and started mouthing some ugly things because I was taking too long to place my order. So when I got to the first window, I paid for her order, along with my own, and the cashier must have told her what I'd done because as we moved up, she leaned out her window and waved and started mouthing the words, "Thank you, thank you," probably feeling a little bit embarrassed that I had repaid her rudeness with kindness. So when I got to the second window, I showed them both receipts, and I took her food too. Now, she had to go back to the end of the line and start the whole queue over again. I think the moral of the story is don't mess with old people and lay on the horn because we've been around a long time. All right, now that we've had a little fun, let's get into honoring the person whose career we are here to celebrate today. And I would say that there's some things about knowing where you come from that really explain a lot about who we become and who we are today. None of us can escape our history, but we can use it to propel us forward. So Christina was born in Kimball, Nebraska. And for those of you who don't know where Kimball is, it's a small town located in the Nebraska Panhandle. Did you know that Nebraska has a panhandle? It's kind of weird looking. It's not as good as looking as Texas's panhandle or maybe Oklahoma's, but it is a panhandle. And per their official website, Kimball is set in the midst of rural western Nebraska in the scenic Lodgepole Valley. Now, I've driven I-80 from Colorado to Iowa, and there's not a lot of scenic about Nebraska. But Kimball is the high point of Nebraska. Not only our elevation and nearby Panorama Point show us as the high point, but Kimball can be the high point of your visit, your stay, and your day. Kimball, your destination, high point. Exclamation point. That's on their website. So make sure you plan your summer vacations accordingly. According to the 2020 census, Kimball had a population of 2,290, and its elevation is 4,725 feet above sea level. But after a little digging, it is actually Panorama Point that is the high point with an elevation of 5,424 feet, so just a little bit lower than Denver, Colorado. On their website also, they had a quote from John Muir, which I thought was telling, and I quote, "Of all the paths you take in life, make sure some of them are dirt." The duck pond on the north side of the base has a dirt path. It's a great place to start. So the town gained prominence as a trading center due to the proximity of the Union Pacific Railroad and became a thriving farming community and was later known as an oil-producing community. And during the 1960s, near Kimball, there were over 90 Minuteman missile launch sites constructed near Kimball. And so this is where our honoree, Cristina Moore Urrutia, began her life. And I think when you see, as we transfer that kind of small-town USA upbringing, and we know what kind of community the small-town USA upbringing is, you're going to see that developed her into the officer, the leader, the mentor, the friend, the colleague that she has become. Music was always in Christina's blood, and service was instilled at a very young age. She knew she wanted to be a conductor by the time she was in 7th grade, an aspiration she credits to her band director, Harry McNeese, who was also her dad's band director, and someone whom she truly admired. After high school, Christina pursued a degree in French horn performance. And after finishing her freshman year of college and quickly realizing the scholarship money wasn't going to go very far, she was encouraged by her horn professor, Alan French, at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, to consider joining the 43rd Army Band. And so her life of service began to our nation, with 8 years as an enlisted horn player in the Nebraska Army National Guard, a stepping stone on the path that propelled her into the Air Force as an officer and conductor after completing her master's of degree in orchestral conducting. So before we get into the Air Force part of Christina's career, let's take a peek into the role that she had as a soldier. And while Army medals are much less verbose than Air Force medals, they do paint a clear picture of outstanding accomplishment. For example, in 1996, on the 6th of July, she received the Army Achievement Medal for scoring 292 points during the 43rd Army Band Army Physical Fitness Test. Now, this is a test for which the maximum score is 300. So she missed the perfect score by 8 points. You can't be perfect. But it's pretty doggone good, isn't it? But she didn't do it just once. She did it like 3 times. So that deserves a hand clap, I think. Now, in 1997, Specialist Moore received an Army Commendation Medal, which stated, quote, "Her tact, common sense, and professional knowledge and devotion to duty were an inspiration to her associates and contributed significantly to the present high standards of technical administration and supply existing in the 43rd Army Band." And in 1998, a second Army Commendation Medal stated that her technical ability, professionalism, and constant devotion to the success of the unit contributed materially to the unit receiving the Colonel George Howard Citation for musical excellence and the Colonel Don Hatton Award for supply excellence. And those of you who know about the Colonel Howard Citation, that's a U.S. one of the first commanders of the U.S. Air Force Band in Washington, D.C., and that citation is given out to like only a few military bands every year. And for an Army Guard band to get that means that band was like cooking, with gas. So let's have a big hand of applaud for the 43rd Army Band, who we have members here. That citation continued, and it said, "She continually demonstrated rare and exceptional initiative, resourcefulness, tact," that's the second time we've heard tact, "and judgment to a degree in keeping with the highest military traditions." So if this doesn't sound like someone who should commission as an officer into the United States Air Force, I don't know what does. That's pretty amazing. So Christina and I met in Washington, D.C. for our band officer audition at Bolling Air Force Base in April of 2000, and her parents reminded me that they met me there too. My brain cells have been purged, but it is great to reconnect with you. I was so nervous probably at the time that I didn't know who I was meeting. But we were part of the second day of officer auditions, and I will never forget that Lieutenant Colonel Mark Peterson told us before we began that they were very hopeful that at least one of us or some of us would be successful, as they did not offer any positions to the candidates who had auditioned the previous day. That's a great way to set the confidence factor up right there. As history would write, however, 3 candidates would be offered positions with the Air Force bands at the end of that process. Myself, Matt Seifert, and of course, our very own honoree for today's ceremony, Cristina Moore Urrutia. And so the bathtub was filled. Now, Christina and I have been in the bathtub for 25 years. Now, just let that image sit there for you. Why do they always go to that place? I don't know. But there were 6 years, actually 7 years, during which there were only 3 band officers hired, and that was between 1997 and 2004. And she and I were part of the 3 that were hired in 2000. And so there were 3 years on either side, and as far as the personnel people are concerned, they consider that a bathtub, where you only have a few people in the middle. So hopefully that clears up the bathtub issue. So we each began our careers at different MEP stations, but we ended up in staggered but overlapping classes at Officer Training School at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama. Matt Seifert was there when I arrived, and he handed the baton, the proverbial baton of the Officer Trainee Chorus, which performed at various ceremonies during OTS. And I share this story because I want you all to know that Matt and I felt like we were just lucky enough to survive OTS. I tried to pass the baton to Christina, only to turn around and see that she was selected as one of the 4 officer trainee colonels of the wing of over 600 trainees. So my guess is that the Army gave her a great background so that she could not only survive, but thrive in a very intense training environment, interacting with commissioned officers and contemporaries while fulfilling the trainee leadership responsibilities she'd been charged with. Oh, and did I mention? She finished strong. She was a distinguished graduate of Officer Training School. Yeah. After OTS, Christina traveled up to the East Coast just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, reporting to her first duty station with the US Air Force Band of Liberty at Hanscom Air Force Base. Her stellar track record continued as she filled in between commanders, demonstrating leadership and command abilities well beyond her years that created a seamless transition between unit leadership. As a result of this accomplishment, she was requested by name to do the same at the Air Force Heartland of America Band at Offutt Air Force Base. Her musical prowess lent itself to producing 2 recording projects that catapulted her into another by name request by the commander of the United States Air Force Band in Washington, D.C. Recognized for her acute oral skills and attention to detail, she was hand-selected to co-produce the recording for the Air Force Chief of Staff sponsored musical titled Born of a Dream. Now there's a joke in there, because Air Force Chief of Staff sponsored musical titled Born of a Dream was on about 240 decorations at the Air Force Band, and about every commander's call we had to listen to that particular quote as several decorations were read, and it was almost like the whole band just said it together. So anyway, but that commemorated the centennial of powered flight in 2001. Furthermore, she served as an executive producer for the Band of Liberty's cutting-edge show titled America's Pioneering Spirit. In addition to selecting the music, crafting the script, approving the video footage, and preparing the vocal segments, she performed as part of the Voices of Freedom vocal ensemble, leading rehearsals for both music and choreography. Do you remember the choreography? No. Okay. From Hanscom, she drove south on the I-95 corridor to Bolling Air Force Base, where she served as one of the flight commanders for the United States Air Force Band. She led the concert band, the singing sergeants, and the orchestra in multiple performances, and prepared some of these ensembles to appear before senior government and military officials and their foreign counterparts, which led to by-name requests from the President of the United States. Her leadership was pivotal to launching internet broadcasts and webcasts, providing information operations during the global war on terror, and using world-class music to win hearts and minds. In a very high-profile event, then Captain Moore Urrutia co-produced the Air Force Memorial Dedication, an epic ceremony, and it indeed was epic. I think it was 3 hours long, that featured the President of the United States, the Secretary of the Air Force, and a historic flyover that featured hundreds and hundreds of aircraft from each part of the history, kind of like we had probably one of these and one of those of the entire Air Force. And that took like an hour and a half, I think. Well, in 2007, the Air Force decided to trade manpower for budget. And they decided that officers and enlisted members in certain year groups were no longer going to be required to be on active duty. And so they instituted a reduction in force board, and that was in 2007. It was known as Program Budget Decision 720. Isn't that resonates? And she and I were in the same year group, and there were lots of officers in that year group. And we were going to have to lose like probably 8 to 10 officers in that particular year group. And so all of our records had to get reviewed, and then it was a time when we didn't know if we were going to actually be retained or if we were going to be put in command. That was the option at the time. Fortunately, both of us were retained, and we were put in command of the various bands. And so after surviving the rift board that resulted from that, she relocated to San Antonio, Texas, assumed command of the United States Air Force Band of the West, and during this assignment, she was the first Air Force band officer selected to lead a unit deployment to United States Southern Command as part of Operation Continuing Promise. She combined music with dental hygiene instruction for 500 children and coordinated concerts with world-renowned artists Juanes and Damilo Perez in total planning and executing 84 missions in 7 countries and earning the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. Music performance teams under her command executed 800 performances for over 11 million people in 3 theaters of operations during her time there. To top it off, she was featured in an article celebrating women in the Air Force Band and was a guest speaker for Women Band Directors International. In 2011, Major Moore Urrutia, PCS, to Scott Air Force Base, Illinois, to command the Air Force Band of Mid-America. Leading the unit through sequestration, she propelled the career field in innovative solutions, utilizing technology to merge unit band members with well-known civilian counterparts via video synchronization, and connected the Air Force with previously unreached audiences. She also collaborated with Air Mobility Command's chief scientist, creatively aligning with the command's STEM priorities and initiating alliances with civic leaders for future technological advancement. And just so you know, back in the day, the promotion board actually selected people to go to Air Command and Staff College, the PME at that level, at the promotion board. So she, it was like top 10% of the promotees were able to receive such a nomination, and she was one of those who got to go to Air Command and Staff College as a result of her records meeting the promotion board. I think that's worth a round of applause as well. Now it gets really good. So she completed Air Command and Staff College, and she traversed the international date line to command the Air Force Band of the Pacific in Japan. And she connected the band with the Department of Defense and the Department of State, and she increased the Pacific Air Force's forward presence and positively influenced otherwise unreached populations in countries such as China, where the band was the sole military group, US military group, to engage the local population, and in Indonesia, where the band proactively transformed impressions of the American military with Islamic youth. So with this proven track record, she was able to advocate for and receive an 87% increase in unit funding, allowing for opportunities to engage allies and partners throughout the Indo-Pacific theater. And she was also recognized with a Joint Service Achievement Medal for supporting the President of the United States' visit to Japan during heightened tensions in the region. Perhaps her most impactful assignment, however, was when Cristina relocated to yet another continent, Europe. She took command of the U.S. Air Forces in Europe Band in October of 2018, and aligning with command strategies, she created a steady drumbeat of presence in Ukraine, culminating in a trilateral marching band for their 30th anniversary of independence, a show of solidarity which countered Russian disinformation campaigns and forged stronger relationships between the United States, NATO, and Ukraine. And she did what has proven to be one of the toughest leadership challenges of our time. She shepherded a unit through the period we know as the global pandemic. During the pandemic, she sparked agile solutions, accelerating a shift from in-person performances to virtual in just 1 week, highlighting North Macedonia's entrance into NATO, which received praise from the Secretary of State. She also targeted support in Eastern Germany and the Black Sea region, moving the needle for positive relations and widening USAFE's reach for strategic deterrence. So as we look back at Cristina's 32-year service record, 24 of them in the Air Force uniform, we see that she led with honor, dignity, tenacity, and the heart of a servant. She has left an indelible impact on numerous units and countless people all over the globe. But that leads me to ask this question. What has meant the most to her after all these years? ER, sorry. She held a baby at an orphanage in Haiti while the brass quintet performed for the children and the staff there during her deployment on the Comfort during Operation Continuing Promise in 2009. And then another time she spoke with a young man in his early 20s while sharing a meal after performing for Islamic schools in Indonesia. And he thought all US military were like Rambo. And you chuckle, but he was so surprised to see how personable and friendly we are. And he said it changed his whole perspective. And this is a powerful example of the biggest export of the US. It's our culture through movies, media, and music. And I will tell you, that export picture is not always putting us in the best light. And this is why it is so important to humanize the US military and build relationships with people from other nations and cultures. Because our exported culture is not really what we want consumed. She led a performance for displaced personnel in Kyushu Prefecture in Japan after a major earthquake had devastated many parts of that area. And seeing the healing effect of music on people in a desperate situation was especially impactful. She met Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his wife Sarah, and the US Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, after performing for Independence Day celebrations just after the US Embassy officially moved to Jerusalem. She learned the Debka dance from a young Palestinian girl at a performance at the US Consulate in East Jerusalem. And this helped to bring down barriers, because not long after, all the kids were gathered around, musicians asking questions about music, the instruments, and the United States. She was stopped in the street in uniform during the 100th anniversary of Armistice Day in Paris, France, and called a liberator by a French woman, not much older than she was, who then thanked her and the United States for saving France from Nazi occupation. She experienced a truly special jam session where the United States Air Force Jazz Band learned an African song from the Kenyan Air Force Band, which they later performed together for the African Air Chiefs Symposium in Nairobi, Kenya. She marched. Are you crying over there? Stop that. ER. It's contagious. Did you know that? Yeah. She marched down the streets of Kyiv, Ukraine, in a combined formation of Ukrainian, British, and American bandsmen for Ukraine's 30th anniversary of independence, ending at the Maiden Square before President Zelensky and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian citizens. And finally, she conducted an award-winning movie and theater music with award-winning musicians, and they are seated right here today. The Air Force Band of the Golden West. So I always brief this to senior leaders when I have the opportunity, but music is really the most powerful non-kinetic tool we have in the Air Force arsenal. It is the one activity that activates all parts of the brain simultaneously. I've got the MRI pictures to prove it. And what you understand is the amygdala and the hippocampus are the two parts of the brain that deal with emotion and memory, and that connection is so impactful. And so when you have the right piece of music and you play it in the right place at the right time with the right audience, you can set up amazing conversations and relationship building. So don't forget that. Don't forget that. All right, her next chapter is still being written, but she's looking at going into ministry, and I think she's going to be a fantastic leader, mentor, and teacher in her faith. And I know that God has guided her through the last several decades and will direct her steps most wonderfully. And now for my advice. Yes, I have advice, but it's not my advice. It's advice that I gleaned from one of our Air Force's finest generals, General Darren McDew. And he always reminded the retiree that you can look at your family, and you can talk to your family, but you don't want to look at them while you're talking to them. And one more piece of advice from the book of Proverbs, chapter 4. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Well, and now my dear friend and colleague, Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia, Cristina, congratulations on the completion of a successful 32-year career. We sincerely hope that your future will be equally rewarding. And in honor of my Irish-born grandfather, a Navy chaplain during World War II, may you receive this blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. And may the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. So on behalf of all airmen everywhere, your extended family, we thank you and honor your service and the service of your family. And we have all been enriched by your presence in our lives. And it is my honor to do this at this time. If you're ready, shall you join me and we'll begin this retirement ceremony. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Colonel Willen. Please stand for the reading of the Retirement Declaration. The United States of America, to all who shall see these, presents greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 4th Oak Leaf Cluster, to Lieutenant Colonel Cristina M. Moore Urrutia for meritorious service, 29 July 2022 to 4 April 2025. Accomplishments. Lieutenant Colonel Cristina Moore Urrutia distinguished herself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, US Air Force Band of the Golden West, Travis Air Force Base, California. During this period, she led a 61-member squadron, adeptly overseeing $8 million in resources and executing 340 missions to reach 57 million people, directing advancing Air Force strategic communication priorities. She fostered a positive culture shift within the unit, empowering leaders, improving standards, and enhancing the climate to transform policies and increase trust. She also led an 11-member team of career field leaders developing strategies to optimize band employment in the current security environment. Lastly, she was hand-selected by the White House to lead 61 ceremonial bandsmen to perform for 23 major economies during the US President's Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation welcome reception, setting the scene for furthering global cooperation. She was lauded by the US Acting Chief of Protocol for epitomizing power and precision of our military to the world. The distinctive accomplishments of Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia culminate a long and distinguished career and bring great credit upon herself and the United States Air Force. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force Special Order Number AC000526. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force, you are relieved from active duty, organization, and station of assignment. Retired effective 1 June 2025 per AFI 36-3203 in the grade of Lieutenant Colonel. Please be seated. All right, where are the Kleenex? They're right next to you. They've been there the whole time. At this time, Colonel Willen will present Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia the Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America, which honors her 32 years of dedicated service. It reads, "To all who shall see these presents greeting." This is to certify that Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of June 2025. Signed, David W. Alvin, General, United States Air Force Chief of Staff. Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia is also presented a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States, which reads as follows. I extend my personal gratitude and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation to you for your patriotic service to our country. Your bravery and dedication in our armed forces helped protect your fellow Americans during a critical moment in our history and contributed to a world of greater security and growing prosperity. Your devotion to duty, honor, and country, in keeping with the long traditions of the finest military in the world, embodied the American ideal of selfless service. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Your commitment and the example you set will inspire future generations to serve with pride and keep our country secure. You represent the best of our nation, and I join our fellow Americans in saluting your honorable service. I wish you happiness and success in your next chapter. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia is also presented a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well-deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, David A. Flossie, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. To accompany the retirement certificate is a time-honored tradition of pinning the Air Force retired lapel pin. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia's parents, Jim and Steya Moore, please come forward. Colonel Willen and Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia, please be seated. We would now like to read some messages from Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia's colleagues and friends. I have enjoyed working alongside Lieutenant Colonel Cristina M. Moore Urrutia during my time as an honorary commander at Travis Air Force Base. While I'm more known as the sole current commander that lives in Los Angeles that commutes to Travis for events, I like to tell my friends and family that I'm with the band. The experiences I shared in learning how the Band of the Golden West touches lives cannot be understated, and I have the Lieutenant Colonel to thank for that. Thank you for this. F. Flobo Boyce. Dear Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia, whether supporting our country's 243rd birthday celebration at the new US Embassy in Jerusalem, demonstrating solidarity with Latvia in a televised military parade, honoring the centennial of Armistice Day in Paris, or playing my last concert on active duty under your baton in Saarbrücken, Germany, you steadfastly led the team with precision, passion, and integrity. It was an absolute honor and pleasure to serve with you in the United States Air Forces in Europe Band in one of the largest and most fast-paced areas of responsibility available to a military musician to play their craft. Diana and I wish you equal measures of joy, contentment, and excitement as you transition from a tremendously impactful career to the next chapter God will write in your life. And remember, anytime you're in the mood for a Colorado hike, we're here to host your visit. Mark Burdett, Chief Master Sergeant, retired Superintendent of Outreach, United States Air Force Academy Band. I am very sorry I am unable to share with you in person this crowning moment of celebration as you say farewell to the Air Force. Boy, have they lost a good one. Please know that many new blessings await you on your journey or your continued journey as you go forth in service of light and of soul, seeking hearts to heal and lives to make whole. The highest praise I can offer, knowing you are a person of deep spirit, is, well done, good and faithful servant. Matthew 25:23. The world needs you and your melody more than ever. Your friend always, Joe, Rabbi Joe Charnes. I offer a thought and a prayer. Thank you, God, for the gift of having family, friends, and colleagues present on this momentous occasion. In Hebrew, the word for leader has a phenomenal range of meanings. Just to share a few, it means to lift up. It means to count. It means to bear a burden. and it means to take an oath. Cristina encompasses the profound depth and range of what it means to be a leader, and just not any leader, but a leader's leader. She lifts the spirits of the downtrodden. She does not just count people, but lets people know how much they truly count. She bears the burdens of others in such a way that helps people get their bearing in life. And she is a model of what it means to graciously and devotedly honor one's oath to our beloved United States Army and Air Force. To paraphrase a Jewish prayer when going on a journey, for retirement is indeed a journey. May it be your will, O God, that you lead this woman of valor to peace, that you incline her footsteps to peace, and cause her to reach all her goals and destinations in life, in joy, in health, and in peace. Send blessing in all her endeavors, and grant her favor, kindness, and compassion in your eyes and in the eyes of all who see her. God bless you, Cristina, for you are a blessing beyond measure. Amen. Rabbi, Chaplain, Major Retired Sarah D. Schechter. Unfortunately, some of our members weren't able to be here today due to mission requirements. Galaxy would like to present Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia with a video.
Siento muy satisfecho del trabajo realizado, cosecha que se ha sembrado, por nuestro pueblo saltado. Mira, bailando, siempre bailando, no me canso de bailar, cantando, siempre cantando, no me canso de cantar. Bailando aquí, bailando allá, todo el mundo bailando, cantando aquí, cantando allá, todo el mundo cantando. Me siento muy satisfecho del trabajo realizado, cosecha que se ha sembrado, por nuestro pueblo aceptado. Mira, bailando, siempre bailando, no me canso de bailar, cantando, siempre cantando, no me canso de cantar. Bailando aquí, bailando allá, todo el mundo bailando, cantando aquí, cantando allá, todo el mundo cantando. Todo el mundo cantando así. Todo el mundo bailando así, bailando así. Todo el mundo bailando así, bailando así. poquitito de sabor y gozadera. Dale, que vamos a bailar. ¡Eso! Venga a bailar con la fuerza aérea. Venga a bailar con la fuerza aérea. Venga a bailar con la fuerza aérea. 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 Todo el mundo bailando así.
For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the Stars and Stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our US Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. For freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States Air Force, the United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all cherish and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. At this time, Colonel Willen would like to present the United States flag to Lieutenant Colonel Cristina Moore Urrutia, and Lieutenant Nicholas Ayala will present a signed collage from the Band of the Golden West, as well as Tech Sergeant Mike Manila presenting on behalf of the concert band. Well, here comes the fun part. I'm gonna go off script a little bit. Hasn't been fun yet? Actually, yes, it actually has been fun. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure to present to you Lieutenant Colonel Cristina M. Moore Urrutia, United States Air Force, retired.
I still got it.
Oh my goodness. How can I even begin to capture what all of this has meant to me? To look out around the room at the people who have meant so much to me for so many reasons and all that you represent, whether it be in uniform, as those who have served in so many different capacities in our Air Force, or whether you have been those who have been my rock. From my parents, my family, my dear friends, y los que están allá en Chile, or all of those various members of the congregations around the world that have shored me up in order to serve our great nation. It has been a tremendous privilege and an honor. And it's hard to let go. And I haven't quite done it yet. I'm kind of gripping this podium. I'm going to try to capture a few things. First, if my parents could come up. I have a small gift for them. You know, it was my dad that gave me my love of music and always encouraged me in my pursuit. I'm not sure you all thought that I could make a life in music. I'm sure many parents feel that way. You're like, are you sure? But they've always supported me, and my dad, he has been so steady. And Dad, I could not do what I do without what you gave me. And for my mom, who gave me the drive and the fortitude to do things I never would have dreamed. She was the first trailblazer, and I'm only following in her footsteps. So to both of you, thank you for your love, for your support, for trusting me when I ran up those stairs in Nebraska and didn't really look back. I know it was hard to let go, but I'm so grateful because you gave me the wings to fly. Yes. All right, to my brother and sister, they were the first ones I got to boss around. So I suppose it's your fault that I ended up being a commander. Thank you, and sorry. I am so grateful for each one of you and for your families that aren't able to be here today. Please give them my love. And just know how much it is meant to me that you're here. As hard as it's been to serve away from you all, I am very, very grateful for your love that has propelled me forward. And I love you both so much. So, to my best friend, Lorene, who after my parents has been probably my primary source of encouragement and support, almost from the first day of my Air Force career. I'm so grateful for you, for, oh my gosh, all that we've gone through. But the Lord is so good, and could not have done it without you. So thank you so much. To my dear friend, Nicole, who's here, and my friend, Amy, who was unable to be here today, we're thinking of you. The two of you were my inspirations to follow my dream to be a professional musician. I watched you both leave Nebraska, seemingly without fear, and it gave me courage to do the same. These crazy kids from Western Nebraska didn't do half bad. To my dad's side of the family, many of whom are here today, my grandpa Dick and my grandma Mary, who both passed on, they taught me what it means to serve. Quiet, constant. It was just a way of life. And all my aunts, uncles, and cousins, like my Aunt Mary, who, along with Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet, inspired me to play horn. To my Uncle John, who put me back on the path of a full-time career in music when I was considering going into social work. He reminded me who God had created me to be. So it's in great part because of him that I'm standing here as an officer in the Air Force. To my family in Chile, including my mom and Aunt Suni, who are here today, they have shaped me in ways they will never fully comprehend. I'm not going to get this right, but I'm going to try. A todos allá tienen mi amor. Ustedes me dieron una herencia de fe, de pasión, y todo para llegar a este momento. Especialmente la herencia de fe y de la abuelita digna. Es muy difícil que no tengo mucho tiempo para estar contigo, con ustedes, pero gracias por su amor y su apoyo. Y un gran abrazo desde aquí. I would like to say a few words of thanks to all the leaders of the congregations throughout the world, like Rabbi Lynn Feinberg and the members of Beit Tefillah Messianic Congregation in St. Louis, Rabbi John Giddens and all the members of Chavurah Shalom in Montgomery, Alabama, Paul Uchiyama Sensei and all the members of Tree of Life Messianic Congregation in Tokyo, Japan, and all the members of Congregation Beth Yeshua at Ramstein Air Base, Germany. And finally, Pastor Galen Peterson and Dawn, all the members of Brit Hadashah Messianic Congregation here in Concord. You know, people usually have a spouse. And I think we all know how important it is to have someone by your side. And while sometimes I felt like I've been walking this path alone, I have not. The Lord has provided for me in each and every location a family. And for that, I am so grateful. And one incredibly important family who wasn't able to be here today, Rabbi Sarah Schechter and Joe and Yael, I could not have gotten through Germany without you. That time was incredibly difficult, and it was a very lonely path. But you all were my family, and I am so grateful. You know, Colonel Willen already said this, but I need to say it again because Colonel Gene Eisenhut was so important to my development as a young officer. I was disappointed that we didn't get to meet each other sooner because I sure could have used you. It's true, the first female officer that I could look up to as a mentor and a friend. And in our particular career field, there just weren't any. And so to have you as someone that I could look to and aspire to be, thank you so much. Thanks to you and Joey for your care and support from a distance. To all the physical therapy team, where are you guys? Oh my gosh. Now, I can literally say I would not be standing here today if it weren't for each and every one of you. We have spent a tremendous amount of time together, and I am sorry. But I am so grateful. You have no idea how much you have all meant to me, personally, professionally, but physically, to be able to literally get me back on my feet. Thank you, Major Page, Dr. Skordas, who wasn't able to be here today, the whole team. I'm probably going to see you next week, so more to follow. But seriously, couldn't ask for a better team, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for being here today. And I'm sorry for all the patients that aren't getting seen right now. To all the members of the band, the Golden West. You know, they often ask, what's been your favorite assignment? And I always find that hard to answer because there are various things that strike you from each location that make it difficult, really, to choose. And I have to honestly say that I've always enjoyed right where I was the very best. I am so grateful to finish my time with you all. Some of you I've served with before, got a chance to serve together again. Many of you I met for the very first time, and gosh, half of you aren't even as old as long as I've been in the Air Force. But you have inspired me. Your musicianship is second to none. I have loved every minute from the day I touched down and we jumped on the bus for one of the first concert band tours after COVID really let us go out. And I got a chance to hear this band play. Wow. I knew I was in for a treat. And it has been an absolute blast. I hope you are as inspired as I am to keep doing this thing, because it is truly a gift. And you all make it special. Command is a tremendous honor. And it has been my prayer that I have served you well. So if I could leave you any advice, I don't have nearly as much good advice as Colonel Willen. But if I could leave you with anything, it would be just to remember why we got into this in the first place. You know, military and musician doesn't always go together very well. It's kind of an uneasy marriage. But like most relationships, if you work hard at it, if you look how you can lift each other up, if you can find a way to serve, that's what makes it work. What we do has tremendous value that cannot be replicated any other way. And has been the privilege of my life to be able to do it as long as I have. So I hope that you will see it that way as well, that you'll continue to serve as much as you're able, and to give our nation and those we serve a taste of what it means for music to make a difference. You are amazing. Thank you. You didn't get to choose your boss, but I'm so grateful I was sent here. And finally, from the time I was very young, I was taught that we do not do anything of our own, that it's from the Lord that we receive any of the gifts that we've been given. And it is our charge to use them, to be good stewards of what we've been given. And I pray that if in any way possible, I've been able to reflect in some way the God that I serve, I pray I was able to do so in this uniform and in my life. God's mercy and kindness to me has been overwhelming. It is truly a miracle that I'm standing here today in so many different ways. I certainly don't deserve it. And I know I've made many mistakes. But I pray you hear my heart when I say it's been my desire to be a good shepherd, and to follow in the steps of the only shepherd that truly leads perfectly. May he receive all the glory. Chief Hornbuckle, Chief Helfand, Master Sergeant Gouvier, Master Sergeant Howard, to the entire team who has worked so hard to make today possible, both live and on the internet. I just have to say thank you so much. You all have been a wonderful team, and I'm so grateful to serve with you. Thank you for all that you've done. And for Lieutenant Ayala, handing it over to the next generation. Enjoy it, but don't take it for granted. It's a heavy weight. Build up your team. They'll help you walk through it, because it's truly a team effort. Thank you all. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. It's truly an honor. Thank you.
waiting for the cutoff. I wasn't going to jump in on that one. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, well, you're already standing, so that's great. We'd like to invite up Mr. David Abramsky, and then we're going to sing the Air Force song for the departure of the official party.
Let's bow our heads as we receive this from the Lord. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chuneka. Yisah Adonai panav alecha ve'asem lecha shalom. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and grant you his peace. In the name of the Prince of Peace, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. We did it. Lieutenant Colonel Moore Urrutia retired, and her family would like to invite you to join them for provided food and drinks, as well as some entertainment by our very own Mobility Rock Band. Thank you for joining us today.